Hey, hi everyone. So today I had a great conversation with Sri. He is working in a SaaS labs. He shifted himself from B2C Edtech to B2B SaaS selling. I have asked so many questions that why a person have to shift from B2C to B2B, how that person gets shift, why he shouldn't shift from B2C to B2B. And we also had some fun conversation that how a person can impress a girl, the way salesperson impress clients. And this all conversation boiled to the one point how Edtech destroying people's career who wanted to come to B2B and why B2B companies not want a tech salesperson in the organization. And this is very sad. So let's watch this video and let's see that what Sri is saying about all these things. Happy watching.
Hi, Pratik. Thanks a lot for having me here. I didn't expect the call from you. Honestly, I was just doing the same regular things that I do day in and day out. Thanks a lot for having me here. Yeah. So
So
yeah, so, yeah,
Sri, just tell us that what's going on with you, where you're working, how that things are happening, and how you landed in that SaaS lab.
yeah. So to start off with, I started off in Byju as a
Mhm.
B2C sales rep, and I was more into how does a brain function normally, right? And what is the relevant and the next nearest profession that could answer these questions? It was sales. So that is how the sales journey started in B2C, and
Right.
taking a little step back after understanding to a certain extent how sales work, I wanted to understand the different vertical, which was B2B,
Mhm.
and got to know that it was more about consciousness and more
Right.
about knowing what you're talking,
Mhm.
because the people that you're dealing with are 10, 15, 20, 40 years experienced executives, right? So
Right.
you can't just go around selling like how you just sell some B2C products. So
Right.
you have to know certain things, do some research, and and then give out. So that was a different vertical. That was a different experience. The reason I am here where I am right now, I would say it is because of curiosity. Like Kunal
Mhm.
Shah says,
Mhm.
always be curious, and that is the
Right.
only way to move forward in the next future. So
Correct.
yeah, that is how things started, and I got into SaaS Lab because I was attending a lot of events in the
Okay.
process and the curiosity of understanding SaaS. Got in
Okay.
touch with a person called Harshvardhan, who is
Right.
running a Slack community called as Unfair
Mhm.
Advantage, which is
Mhm.
specifically for sales folks and
Okay.
SaaS sales folks basically. So
Right.
there'll be like
Right.
events here and there. So every time I get into an event, it is not like just you go for the sake of it, just say hi, bye. But it was more
Mhm.
about talking about their outbound strategies, GTM stuffs.
Mhm.
So much of
Right.
conceptions were there, and one among those conversations, I got to know Vamsi Chaitanya, who is a sales
Right.
ops in SaaS right now, and
Right.
he referred me to SaaS Lab, and right now I'm here. I think it's a pretty long intro.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting, Sri. No, I also wanted to know what's happened in this kind of community meeting, right? When you go this kind of event where there's so many founders are there, so many SaaS people are there, selling people are there, right? So we have there are people who don't know what exactly happened, why people go into this kind of community meeting, this kind of a networking meeting. So if you can little bit explain that what exactly happened, how meetings start, how that event start, and how that gets ended, and what you get in that meeting, and how you get home back, and that what you do with those all data and all those pointers. I know how this works, but I want you to explain it with for the viewers.
Sure. So, every community functions differently. The one that I am in right now, which is Unfair Advantage. So, how the event functions operates out there is more of a very casual events. We don't
Mhm.
have this online virtual regularly, but once or twice in a month, we conduct like live in person brunch. So,
Okay.
you just go meet, wait for everyone, greet everyone, just say hi, 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 and
Hmm.
you just talk like a normal conversation, and out of nowhere someone pops up with his sales
Right.
targets or his sales process, and something or the other everybody is stuck with. In terms of outbound, that is the sweetest part of outbound. There is no
Right.
fixed this is how it is going to work. So
Hmm.
people get stuck somewhere and people ask questions, and they have like 13 brains to answer that question. So
Right.
it just keeps answer keeps moving here and there, and then the topic just gets like a forest fire, and then it keeps going to GTM strategies and
Hmm.
what is the thing that we can set up for the next meeting, and
Right.
anything and everything revolving around SaaS sales. So yeah.
Right. So, Sri, I little bit wanted to go back, right, in your past, right? When you were working into Byju's, right, it was B2C business, right, and it was doing great that time, right? Now we all know how Byju is working and what they are doing, right? But that time I'm sure that they were working good, right? So, what was the reason behind changing this entire shift, right, coming into SaaS and doing this things, right? What was the reason? What makes you to take that decision?
So, I think the reason why I got into Byju's would be a great answer to start with. Back in 2017, if you look at those numbers of Byju's, they had hardly, I think, 300 to 500 sales rep, somewhere around that range.
Right,
But if you
right.
look, but if you look at the turnover, it was thousands of crores, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the exact time when I started to read books like Dale Carnegie and Zig Ziglar's and all, which spoke
Right.
more about scripts, how do you approach a person and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if a organization which is like having like 300 to 500 or 1000 reps are able to bring in revenue which is like 10x, 100x, 1000x then the number of employees, sales rep, they should have a strong script is what the
Right.
first thing that stuck my mind. And let's not forget that Byju's was dealing with three different generation people. Two was
Right.
mandatory and third was
Mm-hmm.
optional. It was a child,
Right.
father and mother, and grandma, grandparents. Possibly the entire family might be in the the demo portion also. So how did
Mm-hmm.
these folks, sales folks, was able to crack that code was the first thing that ran in my mind, and I
Right.
was so much obsessed to get my hands on that script. And
Mm-hmm.
how did Byju's function? They how did they get to crack? Because if you break down, it is like tier one
Mm-hmm.
city. Who are educated parents, the child doesn't study, they go to tuition. What do you say? So if you
Right.
break down that aspect, it's like tier one, and you have like 4 5 categories: tier and studious parents, 4 5 categories; studious student, 4 5 categories. So if you break it down, it's like so much of neurology stuff, and the thinking thought process are there. So that code they have cracked it is what I believed before stepping into it. And when I stepped into it, trust me that it was like I got my hand onto a Aladdin cup. That
Right.
feeling was like so much fulfilling than anything ever I've had in my entire life till date. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, people talk more about Byju's selling. It is aggressive selling. I
Right.
wouldn't.
It is.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at the reality, right? I wouldn't. No, I would support Byju's under every cost because if you look at the reality, right? Obviously, dude. Because if you look at the engineering colleges, right? What
Mm-hmm.
kind of companies do they bring in? How many startups are there out in the market? What is the level of
Right.
efforts that the placement coordinators are putting into bringing new companies? TCS,
Mm-hmm.
CTS, Wipro, same companies. They're laying off in lakhs right now. Accenture is laying off in lakhs, right?
Right.
So the efforts that these engineering colleges put are like considerably very low. And the only option that you have is IIT. Now, what do you have to do to get into IIT? You have to remember stuff, understand the basics, which is what Byju's does, helps you with.
Right.
Honestly, I personally haven't come across any issue with the product. Product is a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the way they project it, it's like a face slap, a reality face slap.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
people in India who are driven mostly by emotions, it is a little hard and difficult to, accept certain stuff. So that's
Right.
completely fine. And I was lucky enough to get a training team who was with me throughout the entire night, 2 o'clock, midnight, 2 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
handling objections. So all these things got my hand on the script. That was the reason I got in. I had a solid training team who was with me the
Mm-hmm.
entire night, and we had an execution portion. And I had to drop off because of COVID second wave, and so many deaths were happening at that time. And I had to take a step back. And I had like a good amount of time to process the entire thing that I did in Byju's. And
Mm-hmm.
somehow or the other, you are either happy with where you are or you're always hungry. You get this when you're a salesperson,
Right.
you're always hungry. It comes with
Right.
nature. So
Yeah. 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 We all are hunters. We
exactly,
cannot stop hunting.
exactly. You're never happy or you're never enough. It's never enough for you. So I just kept
Right.
moving the next steps. Got to dig a lot into LinkedIn posts, try to start writing posts.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly, very so much grammatical mistakes here and there. And then
Mm-hmm.
we got to find this Harshvardhan, and then was finding like what exactly is. There was this notion it is very difficult to get into B2B from B2C. I was like, what exactly is B2B? So
Correct.
let me figure that out.
Correct.
So that
Correct.
was the beginning point. So,
So, Sri, interestingly, every day I receive messages, I receive DM. Even yesterday, I was call with one of a lady, right? And that girl wanted to set from Edtech to B2B SaaS, right? So, if you can, explain a little bit very precisely that what exactly you did in terms of moving from B2C Edtech to B2B, right? What are the steps you have taken, right? I know you tried a lot. You sent so many DMs, right? You have done so many weird things, and somehow you landed with a very good person who helped you and referred you, right? So then helped you to get this job. But still, if you wanted to tell that how people can shift their career from edtech to B2B SaaS, that will be great.
So it is pretty much simple, and it is pretty much the same process, I would say. Um,
Mhm,
all you have to do is like get active on LinkedIn, regardless
mhm,
of if you are inbound or outbound rep. Most likely, you will be put into inbound. So you'll have to
right,
get active on LinkedIn. You have to trust your intuition and gut is the first thing,
right.
because what B2B requires is to find out the decision maker, right? So there might
Mhm,
be head of sales, director of sales, VP of sales. Now, who's going to sign the check? So that is the
right.
first question. So when you're applying for the job, it is the same thing. So you have three different designation people. Who do you think is the best person to connect with? Now,
Right.
crack out here, a crack code out here is who is posting on LinkedIn regularly in these three personas, right?
Mhm,
And comment on this post and then send request with a note. So before
right.
sending a note to them, send like have like 30, 40 profiles before, send random notes, see what is
Mhm,
interesting in their profile, have a strong why do you want to reach out to that person, and
right.
eventually you'll get to the point where your message is within 250 words. The
Right.
note character is 300, comes before 250.
Mhm,
And then you can install Apollo, which is like free email. You get a lot of free emails, and you
right.
can start writing, drafting emails.
Mhm,
Honestly, nobody reads the emails in and out, right? So
right.
all they want to know is that, okay, this person reached out, send a request on LinkedIn, and then he reached out on
Mhm,
Slack, he reached out on email, and try finding out his number. Probably try softwares like Slintel, or again Apollo gives you 5 credits. Uh, you
right.
know, the
Lucia is
first
there.
base Lucia is there, 25 credits, I think, something like that. And you
Right.
have easy leads. So many softwares are there.
Is the users.
Yeah. So the first base thing would be like to figure out before all of these things, figure out. Do your research, try figuring out things. What are all the things that are available? What are all the free stuffs that are comes along with these available softwares? And then
Right.
find out what software you're good at selling, right? I figured out sales is something that I'm good at. Sales software is something that I was able to grasp faster. And
Right.
I filtered like 5, 6 companies before joining SaaS Labs, and
Mhm,
specifically targeted who are all the people that in these companies that I know, who are all the people who are
correct.
active on LinkedIn, send them
Correct.
requests, connected with them. And if you filter it this way, I think your path is pretty much under your control, which is more important.
Yeah, so basically, Shri, this is what I also say, tell these people that before selling anything, before getting, this kind of job, you have to sell yourself. And for that, you have to find out ICP, you have to do research, you have to, send cold emails and all this stuff. You have to do it, right? I would like to
Exactly.
know about your LinkedIn profile pic. I'm very interested in that, right? That I was looking at your DP, I was like, oh man, this is great. Like, क्या है वो बताओ मुझे.
So okay, LinkedIn was
Was
one
it
of
really LinkedIn office?
it is LinkedIn Office. So
Oh, okay. So now it's interesting.
so I was targeting LinkedIn to get into.
Okay.
I wanted to get into LinkedIn very badly. Obviously, when you start posting on LinkedIn, LinkedIn how powerful it is. So
Right.
I got in touch with an outbound manager. I found his
Mhm,
number on LinkedIn. Luckily, called him randomly out of blue, asking him
mhm.
that hey, I am in a process of building a process for one of my other companies that I was working in, and I
Okay.
see that you are posting regularly on LinkedIn. You've gone to so many events, and I also
Right.
see that you are in LinkedIn for like 7 years, and right
Mhm.
now you're an outbound manager. Right? It was an entire call,
Correct.
and would you be open to guide me or give me a certain knowledge about how outbound process, what the process that you follow on LinkedIn? So that is where
Correct.
everything started. And fortunately and unfortunately, I was not able. Fortunately, I got a call from LinkedIn.
Mhm,
Unfortunately, I was not
mhm.
able to crack it. That's the second thing.
Oh,
Uh, so
but
I mean,
still.
because I got a
Mhm,
couple of other companies rolling out the offer earlier. So it's
mhm.
a little red flag to LinkedIn. You can't have an offer letter and then you can't do that. So that's a blocker. So I wanted to finish the entire loop by going back to the outbound manager, saying that, hey, thank you so much for referring me and bringing this so much forward.
Mhm.
And this is what happened in the entire interview, whatever happened in the interview. And finally I got rejected, and I just wanted to let you know. And he was like, appreciate for closing the loops. And I'm like, okay, fine, everything's all good right now, but I wanted to, as a form of gesture, I want to present you a book, and I wanted to give it to you in person, just to finish a bit off with a better good note. And asked him like, are you in office? Any good time to meet in office? And he was like very kind enough to invite me to a LinkedIn office, and gave him
Okay.
book. Went into LinkedIn, got a LinkedIn picture. So it was like the fanboy moment.
Yeah, that's impressive, and this is very exciting. I never heard anyone to, closing this kind of loop, right? You're the first person who said that I closed the loop with after getting rejected, right? So
Yeah,
if anybody getting job, that's to sab badhiya. When anybody getting rejected, they are like they don't give a shit
I
to
respond
anything,
back.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and this is very important that if you have not closed the loop, right? If you are not going to say thank you, or if you're not going to say anything to that person, you are losing a strong network opportunity, right? Networking opportunity. That person
exactly,
going to help you in future, right? He will always remember you that what you have done, what is different between you and other, and this is how you can make sure. And this is what also SaaS sales doing in terms of, even if you are not closing the loop, you will not be successful in SaaS sales. This is what happened.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Recently, you also had a like kind of session with Johot, I guess.
I was in as a candidate, not a candidate, as a participant in Zohot session. Again, that one
Okay.
was done by Harshvardhan, the one who was running the
Hmm.
Unfair Advantage community.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was a part of Zohot technically, a student in Zohot, and yeah, it was another breaking stone to get into B2B SaaS sales. Given
Hmm.
that every information out there in the internet are so wide and vague, Zohot
Hmm.
was a good platform to have it structured and then guide you entire through the process. And
Hmm.
yeah, I was a student, and then in recent event I was a participant.
Perfect. So, Sri, I just wanted to know what is like how, when we talk about the courses and the like all those certificate courses which is there for the coders, developer, and other operation people, right? But when we talk about the sales thing, right? What's your thought on getting a course based on SaaS selling or based on sales, that anyone should go for it or not?
Obviously, so if you're going in for the sake of certification, please don't. That is not something that is recommended in sales.
Perfect.
But if you're going in terms of learning and executing all the skills that are
Hmm.
required in SaaS sales, go all in, right? Even if you want to take a loan,
Right.
go all in. I did. Okay.
Right.
So, uh, if you look at SaaS sales, it is not just about talking over phone. It is also about
Right.
research, writing, and so many skills fall into place. And
Hmm.
there are specific personas in the market who's addressed these kind of skills and who's excelled in these kind of skills. Obviously, few people like them, few people don't like them. That is up to your choice. So,
Right.
go all in on the courses. Again, do your research. There are like 50, 70, 100,000 people who are selling those courses. Figure out
Right.
which person are you targeting, why are you targeting them, why do you want to take those courses. Ask yourself a ton of questions before you get into a course, because if you ask so many questions, you have a strong why and a reason of why are you getting into the course, and you won't drop
Right.
off just like that, just like another course. So yeah,
Right. So yeah, definitely. This is what I also said. In like sales cannot be theoretical. It has to be practical. If you're not doing practical thing, if you're not doing sales practically, you will not learn it, right? And this is what it is. You have to do it. How your life looks like now when you are getting into sales and you are doing B2B SaaS sales, like how your life looks like.
it is so much interesting right now because in B2C you don't know the person who's on the other side of the phone, right?
Right.
All you know is that there are certain pain points that the person that I'm calling to will have a certain pain points if you're an inbound rep, and I have to
Mhm.
ask like so many questions. That is based on like how what kind of questions you ask and how do you do the discovery part. But in B2B, you will have to understand the business in the first place. Which industry do they fall into? What are the problems that they face, and what are the problems that the specific person or the designation person faces, and filter out those, and you've got the challenges and the problems. Now reframe it in terms of value benefits, value proposition. Now when you're writing an email, you don't write it futuristic, right? You
Right.
have
Right.
a couple of 2 3 challenges and
Hmm.
map it with 2 3 value props, right?
Correct.
And there are so much of works that is involved, and all
Hmm.
these works requires research basically, as always,
Hmm.
and a certain degree of writing, which helps you in terms of clearing your mind, helps you thinking better by nature. You write, but you keep writing better or worse. you get a certain degree of clarity in your mind, right? So that
Right.
is another part. And yeah, I think that I am certainly loving the B2B space right now, and my work is something like which is going very interesting at the moment. So
Perfect. See, I'd definitely like to know if anyone wanted to switch B2 from B2C to B2B, why they should switch. Like, if you can give three reasons, right? It could be anything. You can also mention that you're getting good sleep in night. That's also okay. But
obviously,
why? Yeah.
yeah. If you have to switch from B2C to B2B, again, it depends on priorities. If you are
Mhm.
pretty much good with making money, I think B2C, if you look at companies like Scalar and all, they pay you like tons of money, right?
Yeah.
In,
Yeah.
in terms of B2B, it is more of a learning curve. Um, it is based on experience that you've seen in B2B. That is one. So if you are looking to build a foundation, have a solid learning curve, and then you're okay with losing a certain amount of money at the beginning to a certain extent, right? Again, you have to know negotiation skills out here. You can't jump
Mhm.
from 15 LP to 7 LP just like that. So
Correct.
if you are okay with learning and losing a certain degree of money, you can
Mhm.
start out in B2B. And if you are looking to understand how the market functions by default, right? People
Mhm.
talk a lot about chat gpt, but how many of us know there are like so many extensions that are free, that
Right.
if I search for 20 problems that are that the sales manager faces, right? I have like 5 extensions. Two extensions by default gives all the solid 20 pointers. Google gives me like
Correct.
some relevant keyword searches, and there's another chat gpt giving these things, right?
Right.
So you don't even have to get into chat gpt, but you can do all these things out
Right.
here. So if you are so much keen in understanding softwares, understanding business, trying out different things in and out, day in and day out, then obviously B2B
Mhm.
is a really good place to start and to continue for a pretty long time. And finally, you can have Saturday and Sundays holidays, which is not because executives are on holidays every day. I mean Saturday and
Right.
Sunday all days.
Mhm.
So B2C is, I think, you have major work on Saturday Sundays most likely.
Right.
If you are a fan of holiday, then you can try B2B. So
Okay. Now, this is the good thing which you have mentioned. And what is the bad thing? Why you should not move from B2C to B2B?
B2
Sorry for
why
putting so much pressure on you, but I literally wanted to know these all things. I haven't asked all these things from anyone. So yeah.
it's okay. Why you shouldn't move from B2C to B2B? Possibly, let's say that you want to move faster, right? There's a certain terrain that people choose. Say I want to drive F1 racing, right? You can't drive F1 racing in dirt bike terrain, right?
Correct.
So let's say B2B is like a dirt bike terrain, right? If you're not okay with going ups and downs, because there's so much of everything that we spoke right now is something like just an outline, especially in
Correct.
terms of the skill factor courses. It takes like
Right.
15, 20 hours per week, right? Which doesn't seem so much, but when you're in the process, it seems so much, right?
Correct.
But if you want to go faster, earn money faster, just keep moving in a terrain like a F1 race. B2C is a good place, most likely, right?
Correct.
And if you are, like I said, there's a lot of ups and downs like dirt bike racing in B2B. If you know that you will be in a place where whatever you learned so far is not even relevant in your next day.
Right.
That's the wipe the board, start from scratch. You should have that. I
Right.
mean, by default, sales people have that mindset, but in terms of knowledge, when you have to wipe it off, how comfortable will you be in terms of starting from scratch again? That's another
Right.
reason.
So you have
Uh,
to learn, unlearn, and then relearn on a day-to-day basis in B2B.
Exactly. You look at Josh Brown. So technically, if I have to just give a short brief on how the market, how I view the market right now. If you look at Josh Brown posts and all, right, posts and videos,
Hmm.
it is more like we are moving faster towards a traditional method, right?
Right.
We send emails on bulk, which we said it as modernized. Now emails are going into spam. We say,
Right.
let's do cold call, but no one, but hardly people are being trained on how to do cold calls, right? If
Correct.
you look at Ronan Pesser and Will Aitken's cold call, and then if you look at someone from average or mediocre sales rep cold call, you see so much variations, right? So
Right.
these people talk directly on the problems or challenges that the persona faces. Start off with a question, but this on the other side they say, "Hey, I'm calling from this. Can I speak with this?" I mean, why should the person even give the hand over the phone to the next person? What is the reason that
Right.
we have faced, right? So the
Right.
cold call is out, and now you either get to run the same thing over and over again blast emails, again do cold calls,
Mhm.
or which is where the Josh Brown and so much of new softwares came in, that you send a gift to the person, right?
Correct.
I read an interesting email which said, a person was sending mail to a VP in his profile where he found he was a golfer, and he sent a golf ball and a golf course ticket, right? Now that is something
Oh,
traditional.
nice. Right. Right.
Or- Right? You see the link again. People send
Right.
some gift or the other in order to for a return favor. And on the next step, give handwritten notes. I mean, we are in a stage of email, WhatsApp, Instagram, so many. Now, why handwritten notes? Because it feels more personalized. This person has put an effort. Now,
Correct.
post faster. Now, again, traditional, right?
Correct.
So everything that you learn in terms of writing emails, cold calling scripts, everything goes out of the window right now. How good are you? How comfortable are you accepting the fact, learning it again from scratch, again implementing it from scratch, right? This is a
Correct.
huge, gap I find. But
Hmm.
like I said, when you're getting in, you come with a learning mindset. All these things are like juices of, once you finish it and come out, you're like a completely different person. That is another reason why you can choose not to go with B2B, because it takes
Hmm.
so much of unlearning also in the process. And the third
Correct.
reason would be, um, I don't think I would not go to B2, say no to B2B, but if you are like so much comfortable in the place you are, say, not trying out new softwares, or not interested to know what are the new softwares,
Right.
if you're not interested in being active on LinkedIn, to be straight up, I would say maybe you can be a B2C salesman, because I won't
Right.
see. I see LinkedIn. I'm like, okay, fine. Most of the people, most of the things that I talk are the knowledge that I consume on LinkedIn.
Hmm. True.
Any new softwares, any new methods of approach that the executives, wants the cold call to be, right?
Right.
It's all over the LinkedIn right now. Hey, let's say that I am an VP of some company. I know
Hmm.
that a person is going to come, an SDR is going to cold call me. I want SDRs to do some research about me, do this, do this, do this, do this. It is out on LinkedIn, very transparent, right?
Correct. Right.
So if you are not like, if you're not comfortable in doing research, spending like at least 1 or 2 hours on LinkedIn every day, understanding what are the people that you're following are talking about, what are they mentioning,
Hmm.
and not into, and if you are not okay with going through the comments as it is, no
Right.
judgment, no answers, nobody's asking you anything, just observe like you're looking at a serial or a series or something, just right, that level of observation. If you're not okay with doing these sets also, then comfortable being the where you are, I think B2C is a good place.
Yeah, and one thing, if you also don't want to increase your screen time, then you can be at B2C, right?
Yeah.
It
Exactly,
it
so it increases a lot.
a lot. And like I'm on screen, around 10 hours, 12 hours. And whether I'm watching LinkedIn or whether I'm reading mails or blogs or something, and or whether I'm searching on new softwares, what is the replacement of Lavender or maybe Lucia or something like that. All these things happening, right? And if
Yeah,
if you are new and starting into B2B and you don't know like how the softwares work, then the task is like majorly researching part where you are doing the entire research, right? Okay.
exactly.
Sri, the last question, and this is the best thing which I know, like I can get it from you, that why you want everyone to know about SaaS? What will be the reason?
If I had to put it in a completely detached way, I would say
Hmm.
majorly because of your health. Like you mentioned right now, you spend like 10-15 hours a day. You know that if you keep spending on a same position for a longer time, you're gonna get back pain, knee pain, whatnot, right?
Hmm.
So you will eventually turn out to be health conscious, right?
Right.
And second, your degree of thinking increases, right?
Right.
And the kind of person you are, as a complete person you are, it elevates, because your thought
Right.
process is increased, your health has
Hmm.
to be uh, extreme consideration, and your writing has to be increased, and your
Right.
understanding of what is happening around you should also be increased. Observation, everything that a human nature, like demands from a human, is elevated in
Right.
B2B.
Right.
If you intend, most important word is intent. If you don't have the intent, it's screwed, everything is screwed. If you intend to be the best performer or the best rep for no one but just for you, right? Then B2B is the best.
So that's why everyone should know how that SaaS and B2B and sales works, right? And that's why they have to come into this, right?
In terms of personal aspects, yes, but in terms of professional aspects, if you it's okay right now, like I said, like we all know, there are like so many information available in the internet, as everybody knows,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So earlier there was a person, let's say you want to invest, right? You have no
Right.
idea where to get the information. There's one person who has already been investing in certain degree of time. You go to this person who has the information, right? He is doing stuff in favor of you. Now you have the information out here. It is your job to you know completely work on the information and understand what is there and what is not. So
Right.
market by default demands you to be knowledge in every field that you are willing to go into. Now if you are into B2C or B2B, regardless of whatever you are, B2C companies use lead square, they use Amio and
Right.
HubSpot. How does these function, right? If you're not aware of it, if you're just a consumer at the end of the day, money moves faster than ever right now.
Right.
you
Right.
you can be the best salesman, but you have no idea how things are going in the behind. Keeps
Correct.
going.
Correct.
You have to have the consciousness. You have to have a certain degree of knowledge on what are available in the market, how fast the market is moving, what are the softwares that are evolving in the market. Now all these softwares are available, great, in replace of Excel, basically. Now Microsoft has launched AI. Now what are these companies going to do? Google is coming back with another AI. Now what will happen to all these companies, right? There's so many
Right.
questions.
Too
So
much. Too much. Yeah, and so you mentioned correctly, 2023, right now, money moving very fast, and even sales people. So earlier, entire sales people have to live the life, right, in a sales, but now it's more than living life. Now you have to also look alive, that you are alive and you are doing sales, right? You're just not a salesperson anymore. You have to be educator, you have to be a brand, you have to be a kind of content creator, and then you can become a salesperson, right? Because you are not just selling, you are educating, you are sharing your thoughts, you are leading the team, you are teaching people that how they can do all those things, and then at the end when you are done with all those things, you will become a good salesperson, and this is how you have to work.
most likely, like I would say two people's what they said. I'm not sure of the one person's name. It's like every generation had their own need, had their own demands.
Right.
Our grandparents had a demand for basic survival. So regardless of however the workplace is, they had to be stay there because they had like so many children,
Correct. Correct.
right?
Correct.
And then our parents came in, where their basic needs and demands were to set a standard of elevate the standard of life, like all the EMI parts, like television, sofa, bed, everything they filled it. The grandparents built the house, parents fill the house. Now this generation is to live the life in terms of spirituality, right? You
Perfect.
have everything out here. Now how do you take life is from there? That is one aspect. On the other hand, to answer to align this with is what Neil Patel said. You had a writer who thought so much about keywords, but right now we have writing softwares. Right now you had keyword softwares. All you had to do is promote, right?
Right.
So how do you promote? How do you position yourself? At the
Correct.
end of the day, better in a better position you are in, the way you position yourself in a better way, that is where the credibility and the accountability comes into play. Again, this is because market demands credibility and accountability at this point. It did not
Correct.
demand like 5 years before or even 3 years before. And we have no idea will this be the same demand down the lane 10 years. Demands keep changing. The market's demand keeps changing. For now, in terms
True.
of next 5 years, it is accountability and it is LinkedIn, right?
True.
And your own portfolio. So you work towards it. It's like playing PUBG. The circle keeps coming shorter, 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 and then you have to loot as much as you can. You have to be the best person survival. So yeah.
uh Yesterday I was having I also gave a consultancy call, so I was having a call with a lady. She is in Canada. She again moving to Pune, and she was into B2B earlier, and then now she is trying to move into, sorry, she was into B2C, and now she's wanted to create a career in B2B, right? And she asked this question, that why not all those things, right? I said ki yaar ye cheez to पूछना है, ये मुझे भी जानना है. And you're the best person, right? And that's why I asked all those things. Thank you for answering with honesty. Thank you so much.
Anytime. I mean, it's most likely that what is the saddest part is that B2B companies right now are having a requirement that they do not want people from edtech background. That is like this worrying saddest thing that I've ever come across recently. and it's a little difficult to crack for edtech people who are in B2C background specifically. I think even the credit card guys would break it easily, but edtech is like pretty difficult right now. So yeah.
That's the sad part, and that's just because of our good startups who push salesperson to do aggressive sales and don't think about clients. But B2B softwares think about client first, then they think about sales. So this is the bad part, you know.
Actually, if you look at it a step deeper, it is not true as what you mentioned. Not every startups think about customers first and then sales second.
Hmm.
B2B startups, technically, it's not how things work. Most likely.
So, yeah, so like I feel Sri that there are people who you will come across these kind of people who are just thinking about numbers and all, right? But when it goes to B2B now, you don't even have option to do the
Huh,
sales, right? Because here the people whom you are going to sell are more aware. They cannot
yeah,
get missold, right? अगर आपने
exactly,
मिससेल किया ना, आपकी फाड़ देगा वो.
exactly. Your credibility is screwed. I
Right,
mean, you can't end up selling to the person that you're targeting. That is,
right.
if he buys, that's your luck. But the
Hmm,
kind of sales that startups follow, to the best of some degree of knowledge that I came across, is still aggressive. Go get them,
hmm,
go target them, go hit them. It's like which is more relevant like B2C. In B2B, you have this time interval for every steps cadences like mail, call, and LinkedIn request. You have certain degree of time, like 14 days, 20 days sequence. But few places where they ask you to hit, like, go all in on the first 4 5 days. Aggressive, super aggressive selling they call it. But you know that balance is something startups kind of missed in the last 2 3 months, I suppose. Majorly because of the SVB hit, and
right,
that we can't blame anybody out here. You can't blame the startups or the SVB hit. It's just part and parcel of the first time founders are more likely to help. I mean, they are responsible for the people that are part of the team, to give
right,
them salary stuff. So they have to push the business team. They've got no options. So
right,
they just go shooting the blind at times, which may or may not work. Yeah, there's this complete notion of B2C and B2B, I think, is not required at all, personally, if you ask me. All you have to do is, it is like, if I have a good sales manager, why would I even consider if the candidate is B2B or B2C?
right. True.
If the sales manager knows how to train a person, regardless of whatever background, how does it matter?
Hmm.
Right?
Right,
That's the question at the end of the day. So ultimately, when you're joining a company, if the company accepts you, understand that there's a good sales manager,
right.
right? If they don't understand that they don't have a sales manager, you have to take credibility on yourself and
True.
understand how much they want you to take credibility. So
Correct.
yeah, so many questions. There's no answers. I
Yeah.
couldn't answer anything.
There's so many things still to find out, figuring out. So yeah.
I think that's the juice basically. If you look at certain everything, everything is almost figured out. Gary Vee
Hmm.
back 4 5 years back, Gary Vee said nothing that I tell right now is new. It was told like 2000 years
Right.
back by my ancestors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything that you're doing is something that's already been done. We are being
Right.
picky on which content should we implement. That's it.
Right. True.
So
It's just like paths are already built. Just now your choice on which part you wanted to walk.
what kind
It's
of
nothing new. Like
experience?
you're not built. Yeah.
Exactly. No, not just in terms of experience in a resume or JD or whatever, but personal experience linked with professional experience. Like, what do you want? How long do you want it? How curious are you in exploring it? So many factors involved. Again, we don't know what kind of pressure the candidate is in, family pressure or girlfriend pressure, who knows. So
Right. That is
uh,
a pressure. That is a pressure. You wanted to get married, but your girlfriend saying you are not earning that much or you're not at that level. That is a pressure in India, right?
I mean, if you're an Andrew Tate fan, I would say, I would say, like, you have the leverage over anything, any girl, I would say, because I think in one of the podcasts they said everybody wants to go on a date with you, but who wants to marry you, right? The final
Right.
call is the guys, but girls technically don't understand. So a few girls don't understand that. Uh,
Yeah.
so I mean, if anybody's just coming to us and saying that, hey, I want so much money, I want you to take care. I'm like, what do you bring to the table? What value do you bring to the table? Do you have business mind? Do you have sales mind? Are you a developer? Bad do you work? Because I love working. I spend most of the time working.
Mm-hmm.
My partner is
Mm-hmm.
something that I find want similarity with. If you're just the person who wants to just Netflix and
Mhm.
Prime, and no, sorry, thank you. I don't mind how beautiful you are, but that you're definitely we're gonna get into shitload of clashes out. So it's
But
like
it's hard to find this kind of people, whether, it's hard to
technically, if you look
find.
at it, so
I
easy.
literally feel it's hard to find a person who can understand that why we are doing this podcast at 10:30 in night, Sunday night, and why we are not out having fun, right? So it's hard to find.
It, it is so much relevant to outbound sales. Trust me, it is so easy to find girls, right? Every Bangalore sales rep who are in
Uh,
Bangalore knows Smriti Tomar, who is the CEO of Stack. She was
okay.
her strategy is something I was impressed to a certain extent, not so much. She's on Tinder. She linked her Tinder profile to LinkedIn profile. No, she linked her Tinder profile to Instagram profile. On Instagram profile, it meant she's CEO of Stack, which directs to the LinkedIn profile. Now she has people investing in a finance. It's a finance
Oh
firm,
shit, man. Shit.
right?
This is nice. This is
We don't
nice.
we don't know we don't know the final step. We don't know how many people are investing because of the she's CEO of Stack, or how much ever it is.
So
But
are you saying I should also start OnlyFans to get good people on my YouTube channel or
no,
LinkedIn?
no. So basically, if you're looking for a girl, know what kind of girl you want. Similar to outbound process,
Okay.
right? Who's your
Okay.
persona? Sales manager. What problems does he have? What challenges he has? What value you can add? Same questions.
Hmm.
What kind of girl do you want? You have so much books behind you. So do you want a girl who is like a good reader? Good reader is a good listener and a good understander to a certain extent. Although,
Okay.
as a guy, we have to understand that girls are driven by emotion, right?
Correct.
More than logic or stuff. But she can understand certain degree, right? So where do you find a girl who's a good reader? Book cafe. Simple.
Right.
You're fit enough.
Mm,
Where do you find a girl who is fit enough? Gym.
mm,
What are the disadvantages that you get from a girl who's in gym? She gets very horny. No, you have no
mm,
idea how what are the drawbacks that you can get along with that girl. So how do you filter that out? That's another question. In terms of
true.
next question, are you a person who's going out, go to clubs, pubs? Now that is like shooting the blind emails. You
Mm,
have no idea what kind of person she is. She may be this. She may be a book reader. She may be a cocaine addict. You have no idea, right?
right.
So want if you want to go with a gut, something like that, go to pub. If you want
Right.
a food explorer, go to food restaurant. Empty food restaurant, right?
Correct.
If you want a traveler, go to hostels. Hostels. Simple. Question is very simple.
Right. So, so even for finding girl, I have to do the research and I have to find out the ICP and I have to find out the reason where I have to target. So yeah, that's very interesting, Sri. That's very interesting. So whoever going to like, I can put this in podcast, right?
Last part you
You're
can put
comfortable with.
it. You can, but as long as it doesn't create a conflict, doesn't merge with the previous content. That is like so professional. This is like all the loopholes to get a girl.
That's also doing the sales, no? That's also
Ah,
doing sales, right?
that's also part of sales. Again, this is like um, you'll have to be so clear on the kind of questions that you ask yourself, because you don't want to end up with another person despite after doing so much of what research and figuring out things, discovery questions and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, great thoughts, Sri. Great thoughts, Sri. Like I'm totally impressed with your thoughts, and everyone should, whoever wanted to step from B2C to B2B, right, definitely use this kind of way to get into B2B. And thank you for clearing so many things. I haven't asked these things from anyone, and you are the first person who have answered all this question. Thank you so much. And yeah, definitely, people who are watching this video will definitely going to follow you on LinkedIn, and they are going to bombarding you with the lots of question and be ready for the for the replies, right? And thank you for joining, Shri. Thank you so much.
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I'm happy to help anytime. So